Hey, boys and girls, welcome back to Scott Bridwell. It's my podcast. It's funny, people always ask me, so what's the name of your podcast? I guess they're expecting something really creative, and I just said Scott Bridwell. And I just kind of laugh. But that's the name of it. You should be able to find it in pretty much any platform that you find podcasts on. So I appreciate you taking time to listen to it. If you would share these, maybe comment, let people know what you think about them. Get the word out. Can you believe this? This is the 13th episode. I had hoped this would do as well as it is, but more than anything, I just wanted to have fun, and that's what I'm having. Sitting down, talking to different people I get to talk to. I got a couple coming up that I'm pretty excited about. One in particular I just secured this weekend. We're going to sit down over Thanksgiving weekend and have a chat. She's an author. She's from Athens. She's got several books in publication right now that you can find at any major retailer. I've been wanting to have that conversation for a long time. Matter of fact, when I first started thinking about doing this type of a podcast, she was one of the first ones that came to my mind. So she's agreed to sit down with me, so I'm excited about that. Look forward to that. Also, let's see, what's been going on? Well, we've had, here at the farm, we've had a couple of baby calves born. Last week we had 2, and then I think we had 2 more this morning, so I got to get out there and check on them here in a little bit. But one of them, last week, I was out there feeding hay and grain, and I'm driving the tractor, and this brand new baby calf is maybe about two days old, starts chasing my tractor, and then it gets in front of the tractor and stops. So I try to drive around it, and it gets back in front of the tractor and stops. I try to drive around it, and it gets back in front of the tractor and stops again. So finally, I just get off. I think maybe if I walk toward it, it'll run off, because that's typically what happens. This little calf just stood there, so I start petting it and loving on it. So it's a pretty cool little thing. I wish somebody got in a video of that. But anyways, I had some calves born, 2 more today, so we're going to see how that goes. It's busy life here on the farm. Last week, I was also fairly busy. I recorded 17 promotional videos for the Chamber of Commerce here in Athens and Etowah. You can find those if you're from Athens. Just go to Athens Area Chamber of Commerce or the Etowah Area Chamber of Commerce, or go to my Facebook page. I've been sharing them there as well. That's been really cool. Got to talk to a lot of different leaders and people throughout the city of Athens, and we were talking about Shop Small, which is a nationwide event promoting small businesses and promoting you to go out and shop at them on Saturday, November 24th. And so I got to go around all those different businesses and do little promotional videos. It was really fun, but I also got to record this podcast that we're going to listen to today. My guest today is Christy Miu. Christy is the owner of Creekside Massage and Yoga Studio. I started going there in June. Matter of fact, it was June 22nd, my birthday of 2016. It was one of the things I wanted to do for my birthday. I wanted to try something different. So I go out there and took a yoga class and just absolutely fell in love with it. So guys, if you're not doing yoga, I encourage you to look into it. A lot of MMA fighters, a lot of combat sport guys are doing it. A lot of athletes are doing it. They find it not only good for their health, they find it good for their mind and their soul. It's just it's a great practice to get into. Christy and I talk about that. We talk about some of her own personal journeys in life, and it's just a great time. We just sat down on the floor, pulled out the microphones, and chatted. Ashley also joins us. Ashley is a yoga instructor and Christy's assistant out at Creekside. They're both beautiful ladies. They're both wonderful souls. If you don't know them, I encourage you to get out there and introduce yourself and get to know them. Ladies and gentlemen, grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Christy Miu.
What they told me this year.
I got bifocals.
Okay.
And I went to get checked for contacts the other day because I was tired of wearing glasses. And he said, well, I can get you bifocals, but you need bifocals. You have a slight stigmatism and you're nearsighted. Mm-hmm. So bifocals will help with 2 of those things, but I can't do all 3. And he said the benefit to glasses is you can always pull your glasses off. You can't just pull your contacts out when you want to read. Well, I'll stick with glasses. I don't want it.
Yeah.
So how do you say your last name?
Mayu.
Mayu. Okay. I was like, how do you say her last name? I thought that's how you said it because you had it spelled phonetically that way.
Yes.
What's the heritage to that name? Is that the right word?
It's Romanian.
Romanian.
Yes.
Are you Romanian?
No. Well,
No.
I am
Are you?
through ancestry, I discovered. But no, that name is not mine. I just kept it.
You just kept it. What ancestry did you use?
Ancestry.com
Okay.
to do the DNA.
Yeah, I didn't know if you did like 23andMe or if you did
Yeah.
Ancestry or.
Yeah, Ancestry.
Did you like that?
I do. Yeah, and at this point, I've had several family members that's done it. So when multiple do it, it starts to tie down even closer. So my percentages and certain things have gone up and
So what was
changed.
your big surprising find and all that?
It shouldn't have been, but I think the Asia
Oh,
part, yeah, and which was actually India.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it probably shouldn't have surprised me, but it did.
Shouldn't have surprised me. Are you worried about now your DNA's in this huge database and Big Brother's going to know who you are?
Well, I did consider all of that. I have a brother who is a felon.
Uh-huh.
And so my DNA profile is technically already in the government because
Yeah.
they have his.
They have his.
So when I did, I was like, well, it's already there. So
Well, they caught that cop in California here recently, or somebody who committed a bunch of murders or whatever, and they caught him because of a DNA profile of somebody in his family.
did. Yes.
That's scary.
Yes.
Somebody asked me about it because when I was in the Marine Corps, they took our DNA. And I thought, well, the government's got my DNA. I mean, yours is a private company.
Yes.
Mine's the actual federal government.
Right.
So I'm a little bit more afraid of that than I am a private company having
Yeah.
it. But somebody asked last year, everybody was doing these for Christmas gifts. Is that how you got yours?
No, I did mine just out of curiosity, and then I gifted one to my mom and then my kids for the holidays.
Yeah, I was afraid of doing it with the kid thing. You know, what if you're not your kids?
Well, I will say this. I did not experience it personally, but I've had two family members to discover that their father was not their father
Ooh.
in the process. So that is a scary situation.
So who gifted them that?
Yeah, that one was not me.
Please tell me it wasn't their mother or their
Yeah.
father that gifted that to them.
I don't know,
Wouldn't that be weird? Oh, this is such a great gift. Let's give this to our kids for Christmas. And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Mom,
Yeah.
that'd be horrible. So, Christy Miu, I met you, what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
I'll tell you exactly when I met you. June 22nd, 2017.
Okay.
It's my birthday.
Birthday.
It was the first yoga class I took. So, I think
I
met you
believe
there.
that's correct. I remember wishing you happy birthday.
Yeah, it's my first one. I'd always thought about doing yoga and just never did it. And then I moved here and I thought there's yoga in Athens, Tennessee. And so let's go try it. And I was looking for something to do on my birthday and I thought, well, let's do something new. And I went and did that and thoroughly enjoyed it. How long have you been involved with yoga?
I have been doing yoga for, I guess, about 13 years now.
What got you started?
Looking for something better or different. Looking to feel better was really, I was in my 20s. I felt terrible, lots of medication, and I just needed something. So I went searching.
Wow. So you went searching,
Yes.
and I'm sure this wasn't the first thing you searched for, or
No, I did lots of exercise. I'm very athletic, and I've always done that. It just, nothing fit anymore. So my kids was actually doing Taekwondo,
okay.
and their instructor's wife does yoga fit there.
What's yoga fit versus yoga?
So yoga fit is more of a fitness style. The planks, you may do 50 planks in an
Okay.
hour.
Okay, like a CrossFit yoga
Yes,
blend
yes,
hybrid.
yes. And so that's actually how I got started. And I loved it. I just needed more than what was being taught in that classroom because it was more fitness based. And so that's when I started reading and researching.
And then went down that rabbit hole.
Then I'm in the rabbit hole.
In that rabbit hole. The thing about I actually read a sitting on the deck this morning, scrolling through your phone, and I'm over in my news feed, not my social media news feed, but my other news feed, and it had a study, and I didn't read it, just read the headlines, which my kids hate because I just say, "Well, yeah, I read that headline." Did you read the article? No.
Right.
But the headline said that um, depression is higher among people in the gym, and as a result, yoga is growing exponentially. More and more people are seeking out yoga for peacefulness and mindfulness
Yes.
and doing all that. What's the difference between the two? I mean, since you've experienced it, what was the difference? Why? Because a lot of people say, well, fitness and the gym and exercise helps me relax. And you said, well, I tried that, but this.
So the difference is for me,
Hmm.
and from some of the people that's expressed the same situation in a gym. First of all, you're probably not breathing, and if you are, you're not breathing correctly.
Right.
Yoga will teach you to breathe.
You always have to remind me when well, Ashley does. Ashley's like, breathe. I'm like,
Yes.
it's weird having a woman say, just breathe.
Yeah. And so that's probably one of the biggest things that is the difference in that. But then when you do yoga and not just working out, then you're
Hmm.
meditating, um, which is all the things I teach you to breathe. I teach you to meditate as well as the poses in our classes. And that's the difference. The meditation and the breathing is where it starts to work on your blood pressure, lower anxiety, help with depression. Not just the pose itself, it's the rest of the stuff we do while we're in the pose.
Right. I was explaining to somebody about the poses. I said the poses in and of itself isn't magical. I mean, anybody could just, do this, but then do this for like a couple minutes.
Yes.
And what it forces you to do is it forces you to block out all the other crazy stuff that's in your head. You're focusing on holding this pose. And to do that, you're having to breathe. And you're having to think about this pose. And you're thinking about this pose. And you're breathing. And it just pushes all the other stuff to the side. And that's where the meditation comes in for me. Because I'm
Yes.
meditating on, okay, you can do this. You can do this. It's a self-affirming
Yes.
type of thing.
A mantra. It's a mantra. And I do try to teach people to find one for them to say, when I started this journey, mine was I am safe. There's been times in my life I wasn't. And when I go to a new experience, I want to feel safe. So I would just kind of repeat that to myself until one day I no longer repeated it.
Wow.
And so I do encourage everyone to kind of find one of those little mantras to.
I didn't think about what my mantra was. I have to think about that next time I do a yoga class.
Mhm.
What's my mantra? But that, and then, I think I mentioned this on my social media a couple of times. Is it's funny because guys will be like, "You're doing yoga?" Like it's a girl thing,
Right.
and that sounds demeaning, and that's how they mean it. They mean
Mhm.
it demeaning,
Yes.
and I'm like, "I'll buy the mat and I'll pay for the class. Come with me."
Yeah.
No, no, no. I mean, it's not easy.
No, no, it's not. And I've my son is 20 years old, very athletic,
Hmm.
has been his entire life. And he'll kind of see me do something and giggle and say, "Well, I can do that. Come on, big boy." And
Do
then
it.
that's when he's like, "Okay, all right, this hurts. This is not." And so it is. It may look easy or it may for some people. So some people look at it and think, "Oh, that's nothing." And some people look at it and go, "I can never do that." And neither is true.
Right. Neither is true.
Neither is true.
Neither is true. That's the thing that I appreciate about yoga is because when I talk to some people, I can never do that. Well, you don't understand yoga. It's as much as you can do
Yes.
until you can do more.
It meets you where you are.
Right. And I don't care what your physical condition is. I don't care. It really doesn't matter what your
Right.
physical condition is.
No.
There's a yoga for
There
you.
is always a yoga for you. If you need to be in a chair, there's a yoga for you. If there's a meditation yoga, it's yoga nidra, so it's the yoga sleep. It's kind of a guided meditation. You do nothing but lay still for the whole time. So there's something that everyone can do.
Well, I know, like, I've known meditation for years. It's just part of my background, and I've known it for years, and I've practiced parts of meditation for years for various reasons. But I'll find myself back to your breathing, which you was talking about breathing the other day. Just a few minutes ago. I'll find myself when something stressful or something frustrating, not stressful. Maybe I dropped something,
Yes.
and my tendency is just to kick that thing, right? I'll stop, and I'll do that breathing.
Equal ratio.
Equal ratio breathing, right?
Yes.
I'll just breathe in, count of 4. I'll breathe out, count of 4. And I'll do that like 3 or 4 times. Gather myself, pick my stuff up, and go on. And guys at work have noticed it. They're like,
Yes.
"Is that yoga thing?" It's tied to the yoga thing, yes.
Absolutely. It's a lifesaver. You can do that in the car. You get road rage, just breathe and count. And in a moment you'll forget. You'll forget why necessarily it just won't matter. It gives you time to just
See, and that's not a mystical thing. That's an actual physical
yes.
thing that's taking place there.
Yes.
And that's what I think a lot of people don't get. They look at yoga with a lot of mystery, and they look at yoga with a lot of Eastern religion
Right.
type of ties to it, which it
Right.
has that.
Yes, it does.
It has that.
And it depends on where you go on whether if you'll hear any of that in the classroom.
Correct.
So it just and based on where you go, there may be absolutely none of that involved, or a lot of it. It just there's a path for everybody.
I like that. There's
Yes.
a path for everybody. Well, and that's my thing. There's some, even though, yes, there is a religious aspect to it in one sense, there's a mystical aspect to it on the other sense. There's a very physiological thing that's taking place. When you're doing these poses, there's endorphins.
Yes.
There's all sorts of things that's being released. You're stretching your body in new ways. I was talking to a guy last night about mental exercises, about how when you do things differently, as simple as brushing your teeth with your left hand,
Yes.
you're rewiring neurons and stuff in your brain, and you're learning new things, and your brain's growing. And that's the same thing with yoga. When you've never done it,
Right.
you start doing something new with your body, your brain's going, okay, wait, this is new. How do I do this? And you just feel better.
You do. So one of the things that I like to talk about is in this microwave state of life that we live in, everything's instant. We are also living in a constant state of fight or flight. And so 1 hour of yoga, depending on the yoga, it's not a power yoga class, but the meditative yoga class can reduce you, release that fight or flight mode that we stay in, and give our bodies a chance to begin to heal. Because we don't heal in fight or flight, we don't digest in fight or flight. All we do is stay in this nervous, tense, tight, ready for the next anything to happen. And so that 1 hour is a time that our bodies just stop fighting
The rest,
the rest.
which a lot of people don't know how to do.
Yes.
I all the time hear people talking about, I just don't know how to rest. I can't sleep. Or there's in the Jewish tradition, there's the idea of the Sabbath.
Yes.
That seventh day you rest. And we don't know that. We don't understand that. And I know, like in the Christian tradition, well, no, we have the Sabbath on Sunday. Well, you're running like crazy.
Right.
You're running like crazy. You're not resting. You got to get here. You got to get there. You got to do this. Now you gotta get... No, rest.
Rest.
Don't work. Rest.
Don't, in that same sense for today, I even recommend no TV.
Exactly.
Because your body is reacting to what you're listening to or what you're watching. So if you're watching violence or an action and packed, your body's reacting to that. I was watching the last episode of Bones, the
Uh-huh.
season series finale. I was watching my Apple Watch or had my Apple Watch. My heart rate went to 110.
Are you serious?
Laying in bed watching a TV show. So first of all, I took that watch off because I did not want to know
I
that
don't want to see
again.
this.
But it made me think, this is the truth. I mean, that was evidence of what I've been saying. I had the evidence immediately.
Well, the same thing. We just got out of an election cycle. Thank God.
Yes.
Or thank Thor, or whoever you want to thank. That's over.
Yes.
How many people were just amped up? Over what?
Right. And it will stay that way a little bit because the losers are mad
Losers are mad.
and the winners are going to boast.
And they're going to bait. And,
Absolutely.
And then you still have some elections that are still up. And now everybody's like, oh, this is over. No.
No.
This isn't over. Our team's just picked a side and they're about to come out and fight again.
Yes.
And you're going to be over there and fighting again. And I just don't. I used to really enjoy it, politics. And I was kind of geeked out on it. But then I just turned it off for a while. And I'm not near as stressed.
Yeah.
I like it a lot better.
Absolutely. I don't share my opinion with anybody on it.
I'll share my opinion.
And
but
so I just giggle at the fights now
right.
and just scroll past them.
It's turned more into WWE for me. It's like a grown up version of WWE, but a lot of the fights are just silly. We're not talking to each other.
Yes.
We're talking past each other.
Yes.
It's kind of what I refer to as social media ping pong. Mm-hmm. And I started talking about that when I was in the ministry because people get into these theological debates. And they weren't talking to each other. We're not actually discussing an exchange of ideas. We're just playing ping pong back and forth. I quote this verse, you quote that verse. I quote this author, you quote that author. And we're just playing ping pong. And I decided a long time ago, I'm not playing verbal ping pong with somebody or social media ping pong.
Yes.
It's just not good for me. So you started practicing yoga. At some point, you got deep enough to want to be a instructor.
Yeah. So I'll tell you the healing effects that it has had on me and the changes it's had on me.
Now, when you say healing, you're not just talking about the mental, emotional.
I'm talking mental, physical, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a different person. It's rewired your cells.
Yeah.
So it does change you. So I did that, and I am, a lot of people don't know this, but I am a survivor of sexual abuse as a child for many, many years. And because of that, I've had relationship issues for my entire adulthood because I wasn't a survivor. I was staying that victim.
That's a key difference.
Yes. And so through my yoga practice, meditating and learning how to do this, I learned how to heal those spots and how to love myself again. And that is what made me say there are so many people, men, women, that need this. Maybe not just sexual abuse, but
Right.
any type of trauma, any type of illness, whether if it's brought on, if it's a mental illness, physical illness, yoga can help it in some way.
Even like addiction.
Even addiction, it helps because it rewires. It helps us it's a new way of thinking and doing things.
Well, I think the key word you said there was learning to love yourself too.
Yes.
Because often I'll hear people say, well, I love so and so more than I do myself, and I'm like, no, you can't.
Right.
You can't love anybody more than you love yourself. And I get what they're trying to say, but what I'm telling them is I can only give you what I got, and if I don't love me
There's nothing to
to
give.
give, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so I like that when you said you learned to love yourself again. So the healing physically, I think you were talking one time.
Yeah. So I don't remember the year. I think it was 2009. So maybe about 10 years ago now. I had a stroke, a
Oh
mini
wow.
stroke in Goodwill in Athens. And after that happened, I had issues with my left side drooping. My left foot drooped, and I would stumble. Um, and then a little after that, they said I had all the markers of multiple sclerosis and began MRIs and wanting to do a spinal tap to confirm that. I did not let
Yeah,
them do that.
tapping my spine.
So I had already been doing yoga, but I had quit. I started feeling sorry for myself. Oh, woe is me. I just feel terrible. And so one day I was feeling terrible. I couldn't walk up the steps to the apartment. And I just got up and I kicked myself in the tush and I said, get up and start doing yoga. Just do that at home. I was too embarrassed to try to go somewhere, which was silly,
Yeah.
but I was. And so I got up and just started doing it at home again.
You said too
And
embarrassed to try to go someplace. I've talked to some people and they're like, hey, come to class. Or
yes,
and I don't do it as much as I want, or as much as I should or want. I guess if I wanted, I'd do it. But I come to class. Well, no, I don't. People looking at me. That is one of the least, most judgmental places.
it
Is a yoga
is.
studio.
It is. Um, and I don't think that people understand
Well,
that.
you didn't,
I didn't.
right?
Totally didn't. Even while being from that world, I still didn't. I still was timid of going in
Uh huh.
because I wasn't in tip top shape.
Right. And you
Yeah,
don't have to
you
be.
don't have to be.
And nobody's looking at you. I mean, granted, I'm sure if I walked in there with some tight yoga pants, people would be like, "What the?" But uh, as far as your physical ability, as far as your body style or shape, it's the least most judgmental place I know.
Absolutely.
So you get up, you kick yourself in the tush, your word,
Yeah.
and you start doing yoga. You've got all these physical problems on your left side.
Yeah. Well, and in that same moment, I moved back home. I had moved to Florida for a short period. So I moved back home here to Athens, Iota. And my left foot didn't droop. And I got my balance back and my coordination back. And I was just doing yoga, maybe 15, 20 minutes every couple of days
Okay.
at home.
Just 15, 20 minutes every couple of days. Any dietary changes? Anything?
No, no, no.
Just
Just that's all I did. That's all I did.
how long did
And
that take?
a couple months, if not less. If you see yoga will improve your body if you do yoga 1 hour a week. You will see a change within 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow. What? So when you say improve your body,
You'll see flexibility, a greater flexibility, greater strength, greater balance. And
got it.
just because with every pose that we do, a muscle group is strengthening and a muscle group is lengthening. So
You're getting the flexibility
you're
and the
getting the
strength.
flexibility and the strength at the same time.
Right. And back to your balance thing, your coordination thing, and I'll go back to the what it's doing to your mind.
Yes.
I mean, just the fact that your body is having to do these
So,
things.
well, that's one of the big things when your body does something that you didn't think it could do, your confidence level increases.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's a mental boost
Well,
right
that was a
there.
big thing for me. I mean, I when I walked into that first class, I don't know if it was I didn't know what type of class it was. I'd never done it. And I
Yes.
didn't expect to do well. I did not. Because all these ladies were in there doing yoga, and I just assumed they were always in there doing yoga. I'm gonna be the odd man. I think I even got in the back
I think
in
so.
case I fell. Stayed in the back, and but when I walked out, I was like, I did that.
Yes,
I did that,
I did
and I didn't
that.
go in with the mentality that I won't be able to do this. I went in with the mentality that okay, this is gonna be a challenge, and I'm probably not gonna do well, but I'm gonna do it. And when I walked out, I was proud of what I did, and I just wanted to hug everybody.
Yes.
I just wanted to hug everybody. And then I told somebody, they said, "Well, how was yoga?" I said, "Man, I walked out of there, and I just want to get up and just hug everybody."
You feel so
I
great.
did.
Yeah.
I was so relaxed. I'm trying to think what I did afterwards, but I guess for about an hour or two, it was just like this relaxing euphoria.
Yes.
That was the best. That's probably the best way I can explain it. A relaxing
Absolutely.
euphoria. And I immediately went back to when I used to bartend at a music festival in Hornings Hideout in Oregon, and all these hippies, right? Like, I feel like I'm one of them hippies. I get it now. I just want to
Yes.
go hug everybody. The only yoga class I didn't enjoy, it was cold.
Mm.
And that's like when you guys had that one here recently. It was cold outside, and I was like, I'm gonna go to the theater tonight instead of go do yoga. So I went to
Yeah.
the theater instead. Went and saw it was Black Box Theater
Oh.
at the Art Center in Athens. They had an event going on, so I went and did that instead because I thought I don't want to go outside in the cold.
Well, it was warm.
Was it?
Yeah, that morning it had been rainy and cold, and that afternoon the world just opened up. It was beautiful.
So you guys did that at Eco Park?
Eco Park over there behind Denso, some sort of where
Well, I know exactly where it's at.
okay. Yeah, a lot of people don't know.
I know it's one of the hidden things in Athens that how do I describe this? It's one of the best kept secrets in Athens
Yes, yeah.
because it's a
It's
beautiful park.
it is a nice walking trail.
Yeah, and did you notice that they get the little signs that tells you what the
Yes.
trees are and all that, and they get
Yeah,
that nice little. Did you guys use that pavilion area?
we did. Yeah, we did the yoga out in the grass, but then we kind of had fellowship afterwards and hung out for another 15, maybe 30 minutes
Yeah,
in the pavilion.
it's a because it's a Japanese inspired uh, structure architecture,
Yes.
and I know they got more plans for it. I was telling somebody that's a great example of corporate and government coming together and creating a beautiful space. I don't know what their plans are in the future for it as far as further expansion, but it is, like you said, or like we said, it's one of the best kept secrets in
Well,
Athens.
and it also has one of the book exchanges
Oh, those little
for,
free libraries?
yes.
Aren't those
So
cute?
that is really neat. So yeah, that's that was a nice thing to see.
It is. I've seen a few of those around town, and somebody made a joke. They said, "Well, what do you mean it's a free library? We have a free library." Well, okay, well this one's in your neighborhood.
Yes.
You just put a book in there and take a book. It's not that big a deal.
Yes.
I first saw those when I was in the Pacific Northwest, and so when I moved here and I saw them, I was like, "That's a great idea," especially if you're in a neighborhood that's got a lot of kids,
Yeah.
or I guess if you're just in a neighborhood, like a walking neighborhood.
Yeah, that would be nice too.
Yeah, just exchange books.
Yeah.
Do you read a lot? I mean, I saw your library.
Yes, I read a lot. I've not read as much in the last this last year. I've gotten addicted to audibles.
Oh yeah,
So that's made it hard to read again.
but you're still kind of reading. I mean, you're
Yeah,
still taking in
you're
content.
taking it in. Now, there has been a few books that I've listened to, and then I bought the hard copy,
I just listened to one. I think I'm gonna go buy the hard copy.
and now I want to listen to it and read along.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I like audiobooks that the author is narrating.
Yes. Those are amazing.
Those are better because he's going to give, or he or she, the author is going to give the intonation. They're going to give the emphasis where they want it.
Yes.
Or if you just hire a narrator,
Will they get the feel of it or give that? Absolutely.
so which one are you going to buy?
Um, DavidJi. So DavidJi is
See, I was waiting for something like with Fabio on the cover.
no. So DavidJi
You're like, no, I write those.
is a great meditation teacher,
Okay.
And so he's got several books out where he teaches you to meditate and does guided meditations in the audibles part.
Hmm.
And so I really enjoy his, and I'll take the hard copy now and study almost like a textbook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, what's the name of that book?
Secrets to Meditation.
Secrets to Meditation. I'll try to link that in the show notes.
Okay.
That way we can say, hey, Secrets to Meditation, DavidJi. The Now we've come back to meditation a couple times. Let's define meditation for somebody who's, I mean, because I'll be honest with you, coming from a Western mentality, when you mention meditation to a lot of people who's not studied it,
Yes.
who's not familiar with it, you've got somebody sitting like we are on the ground, on the floor, and got their hands out, forming some sort of on their knees, forming some sort of sign, and they're just got their eyes closed, and they're going,
That is the image.
that is the image, right?
Yes.
Or they picture some Buddha under a tree, and so let's break down this image or this stereotype and talk to them.
Well, meditation can truly be anything that you find relaxing. It's not that you're quieting your mind, because our minds don't truly quiet. It helps us shift through. So it's just, I've got one friend who meditates while cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I can meditate while walking. And I actually do lead mindful walks. So I teach you to do that as well. So it's it can be 30 seconds. It can be 30 minutes. What do you have? And that's meditation. It's just learning to shift through. So one of the things that I like to do is picture a creek,
Okay.
and there's a leaf flowing down, and I'm sitting here trying to meditate or trying to quieten my mind, and oh, Christy, you need to go to the grocery store. Well, I'm going to take that and put it on that leaf, and it's just going to float away.
So you're doing that's a more of a mindful meditation.
A mindful meditation. And it's to simplify. You can take a candle and just sit in any way that's comfortable and watch the candle burn.
There's something intoxicating about watching a flame.
Yes.
And I noticed that when I was in the Marine Corps, we didn't get when we were overseas because of light discipline, because the last thing you want at night when you're in a bad guy territory is a flame. Because you go, oh,
There they are.
there they are. So we didn't get to burn a lot, having fires, couldn't even have a cigarette or nothing like that at night. And we finally got to a place where we could burn a fire. And it was a little chilly. So we're all sitting around and nobody's talking. Everybody's just staring at that flame. And I was like, this is like the TV of the desert.
Yes.
Everybody's just staring. There's something mindful of, intoxicating about it was the word I used. And I know for me, I do that every Christmas. Every Christmas Day, I have a thing that I remember. And I burn a candle. And I'll just sit by myself. And I'll allow myself 5 or 10 minutes. Just to go through these memories and just to go through this time with that candle burning. And I never thought about it as a meditative thing. I just thought about it more as a therapeutic thing.
Yes.
But meditation for me isn't just quieting your mind. Sometimes it's focusing on one thing.
Yes. And that is more the mantra type of meditation.
Okay.
So that's where you might repeat something, or you have an image. You may have a physical picture in front of you or an image in your mind. And so that's focusing on that one thing. And like my mantra was, I am safe. Or it could be anything. It could be anything at all that you, if you're wanting to manifest something joyful or abundance in your life, so maybe you're repeating something along
See,
that
that's
way.
where I think mine's different. And I don't know what the phrase is because I'll defer to you. And I think manifest might be it. But usually when I've got an issue I'm thinking on, or I've got something I'm wanting to create, or I've got a problem I need to think through, that's when I'll find myself meditating. I'll find myself going on that walk and I'm thinking about this one thing. I'm blocking everything else out, phone's off, TV's off, uh, and all I'm doing is focusing, trying to work through this one issue. Is that a form
Yes.
of meditation, or is that just a form of trying to work through my issues?
It can be. It can be. It depends on how you're doing it. If you're relaxed doing it,
Correct. I'm usually relaxed.
then that is a meditative form of it. But if you're doing it in an anxious
Yeah, that's
way,
stress.
then you're stressing yourself. So that is a maybe a beginner meditator wouldn't focus on something, a problem or something they're trying to work through, because they might tend to stress more. So they might would want to focus on something more pleasant.
Right. And usually for me, it's I've got a talk I'm going to give, or I've
Yes.
got a monologue I'm working on for the podcast, or maybe I've read a book and I'm thinking through the issues on this book. But the stress, I get what you're saying. I don't. I try to encourage people not to do that because you will just beat yourself up.
Oh, yes.
You'll
Yes.
stress yourself out, and you don't need to do that. That's where you go back to the mindful. Let's just breathe.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
just
If you,
relax.
and that's it's so funny because a lot of people when you say that breathe, they'll go, I didn't even realize I wasn't
Yeah.
until you said that.
Well, and it's not that you're not breathing because obviously you're still
You still
standing.
yes, it's the shallow. You're breathing very shallow. You're breathing just enough to exist.
Right. You're breathing just enough to take that next step. But if you just stop and breathe in, breathe out, and focus on that breathing, there is a difference to it. I know that a lot of people, because I went through this and I've had people tell me this, a lot of people live with their mind so noisy.
Yes.
It's just so much noise. You got wife, you got kids, you got jobs, you got bills that need to be paid, you got a TV show that you're stressing out about, you've got the news over here, and your mind is so cluttered.
Yes.
And I learned to do this before I found yoga, but you got to learn how to quiet that mind.
Yes.
And
And so that may be that looking at a flame.
right. Well, what I found out was you you attempt to quiet your mind.
Yes.
You'll attempt it with alcohol. You'll attempt it
Yes.
with sleep aids. You'll attempt it with everything else, and those are destructive.
Yes.
You've got to find a natural way.
I'll hear people say, "Well, I do that with TV." That's what I'll zone out in front of a TV. Well, that's the worst thing that you can do.
I agree. I mean, yeah, you do zone
You
out.
do zone out,
It's
but
not
that's
good.
not your body's still reacting to what's going on.
Back to your Apple Watch.
Back to that Apple Watch. I was zoned out, dead mind, watching that show. My heart was still reacting to that. My body reacted. So you're not a zombie watching the TV. And so that's not dead. It's not calming your mind. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah, you're thinking, okay, I'm relaxing. I'm not out here stressing myself. But no, I hear some men who hunt.
Yes.
Their meditation has just been out in them woods,
Yes.
sitting in that tree stand. A deer may not walk by, and they're perfectly content
For hours.
for hours.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if they would define it as meditation, but that's exactly,
That is exactly what they're doing.
exactly. And there's something I like being in nature. I don't get out there. I was as much as I like. I mean, I see these people posting pictures. Oh, we went and hiked here. We went and saw these falls. But just when I'm on the farm, sometimes,
Yes.
just driving out there, putting some hay down. I'm in my own world. I'm not stressed about a lot of stuff. I mean, I got stressed this morning because my foot got stuck in the mud, but I got out. I was like, okay, got it.
Well, and that's funny that you say that because you didn't let that ruin your day. A lot of
Right.
people would have said I had the worst day ever. Well, what happened? Well, this morning I got my foot stuck in the mud. How long did that last? You
Right.
know? And so we let,
Did you have to get rescued or?
yeah, you let a moment of aggravation or a moment of this shouldn't have happened exactly, or you rushed and done something too quick and it caused this to happen,
Exactly.
to just define your whole day and not that moment.
And that's interesting that you put it that way because people do. They let one thing
Yes.
define their day. It could be traffic. It could be, my kid. I just got dressed. I'm about to take my kids out to put them in the car, and they spilled chocolate milk all over my dress.
Yes.
Okay. So the rest of your day is horrible?
Right. Right.
But people do.
People do. It's just I think I did a little, I have a blog I did on that once. I broke my nail. I went and got a manicure for the first time in probably a year.
Right.
Walked in the door and broke my nail the moment I walked in. And I laughed and took a picture of it, put it out there and said, this did not ruin my day. It did not define my day. It was a moment. And it was because I rushed myself, even, instead of just,
You got to learn to laugh at things like that.
yes.
I mean, I can see why somebody would be upset because manicures aren't cheap.
They're not. And, it was one time that I pampered myself and I'd been feeling bad and did it and boom. So,
Broke. Well, and that's it. They're not cheap. You spent all this time. You prepared. You went and did it. You're so happy with them, and it broke. But you had got to a point mentally and emotionally where you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna laugh at this.
yes.
And they say laughter is the best medicine for a reason.
Right.
So you
Right.
got to learn to laugh at things like that. No, this morning how I got my foot stuck was I just basically got off the tractor. I got in this round bale of hay, and I was cutting the strings off of it, and the twine off the hay so I could dump it in the hay feeder. Well, all these cows come up, and they're trying to eat this hay while I'm cutting the strings off, and because this is where I normally feed them, it's really muddy. And I stepped over in a really muddy spot, and I wear muck boots now.
Yes.
I used to wear flip-flops. It's not the best farm shoes. And I stepped in, and of course, it come up to about my ankle. And I thought, okay, that's stuck for a little bit. So I finally got out, and finally just reached down and pulled my foot up. But, yeah, I don't get stressed out over stuff like that. I used to stress out over a lot. It was killing me.
It will. Stress will cause inflammation in your body,
Right.
and inflammation is the root to all disease.
Well, it was killing me, and I just got to a point where I just can't do this. I also found out that I was critically low on vitamin D and B12,
Yes.
and so once I start working on that, and then you start trying to heal yourself. One of the other things I do is journaling.
Yes.
Do you journal?
I do.
How often?
Not as often as I need to.
That's always my answer.
Yes.
I go through spurts.
Yes. And I do lead meditation classes where I have you to bring your journal and you journal at the end. So, or I also lead shamanic vision quests where you do.
We talked about doing one of those.
Yes. And so when I do those, I also encourage you to bring a journal because at the end you will write what your vision was, what your experience was.
So for those who don't know, I mean, and so when we talk about meditation, people have a stereotype. Certainly when I say shamanic vision quest,
Yes.
there's a stereotype.
Yes.
I'm in a sweat lodge someplace, and I got all these hallucinations going on, and people dancing and drums beating.
Right.
Is that what we're doing? Because I'm in. I mean,
Well,
I got naked people dancing around fire.
No.
If that's it.
So I don't do the sweat lodge. I have built one with a group, and I participated in one. Amazing, and if you ever get the chance, most certainly do that. I can tell you where to go.
Locally?
Locally, Maryville, Tennessee.
The place where you had the yoga retreat
Yes.
last year.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. So what I do is I have a drum that I built from rawhide, and I do the drumming and lead and just guide you to a meadow. And then from that meadow, you do the rest of the work. Your mind gives you what you experience. We do that in the yoga room,
Okay.
and not really necessary around a fire. It
Everybody's
can
clothed.
everyone is clothed, and so it's just a drumming, and it's a rhythmic drum that puts you into a relaxed trance-like state, and it's just sort of like a heartbeat drum,
Okay.
and that rhythm just puts you in that moment. That
Any preparation to this? I mean, are we
no,
meditating prior to, or we
absolute.
just
The only thing that's encourageable is you wouldn't want to drink a cup of coffee
right?
or Red Bull and come and try to sit down and do that.
So maybe a chamomile tea.
Maybe a chamomile tea or something like that, but that's about it. It's no prep is needed. You don't need to know how to do anything. I completely guide you for it.
Okay. So there you go. That's what you do as far as
Yes.
shamanic.
Yes. And the shamanic, just so if no one knows what that's Native American. This is Native American traditions. That's
Well, we gotta be careful here when we start talking about traditions that aren't Southern Christianity,
yes.
because we just saw what happened here
Yes.
recently as
Yes.
a result of that. And what people don't realize is, as in that, so too with the shamanic, the idea of that rhythmic, trance-like state goes across all belief systems.
Absolutely.
You even look at the way, I mean, even like I've gone to a lot of youth conferences, Christian youth conferences, the way the music's designed
Yes.
is to bring them to this altered state. It's almost hypnotic.
Yes.
Now that's almost, I mean, for me to say that is almost sacrilegious. Well, that's not what we're doing. The spirit's moving. Well, okay, but it's designed that way.
Right. It's the beat of the music is a certain way for a certain reason.
Right.
And that's what it's doing.
It's leading them to a state where they are, I don't want to say more susceptible, because it almost sounds like I'm manipulating people in their religious beliefs, and it's not a manipulation.
It's not that. It's a form that helps you open your mind.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter where you're doing it. It's going to open your mind for the experience, and your mind will experience rather than staying closed, saying, "Oh yeah, I don't want to do this." It helps you open.
Right. I'm
that.
glad you said it that way, because when a lot of people from, my Southern Christian tradition look at things like a shamanic experience, or they look at things like meditation, or they look at things like yoga, they don't realize that these are very familiar within their own tradition,
Yes.
and they cross traditions.
Yes.
This isn't something unique to just one group of people, because and I don't think yoga is particularly unique to just India. A lot of traditions, although probably not as advanced and not as well known, but a lot of traditions have meditation, they have
Yes.
stretching, they have this type of thing.
Yes.
Because in Tai Chi, that's Asian.
Tai Chi is Asia. So you've got your Chinese medicine, your Japanese medicine, and they all work. They all work about the same.
Right.
They just have different names for some of the same stuff, and that's
I find that with a lot of things.
yes,
When you start talking about things on the spiritual side, or the metaphysical, or the mystical,
yes. Well, your interview with
Angela?
Angela that I listened to, I laughed through a lot of it, going, "This is what I've been saying in my yoga classes." And
Exactly.
it was so funny to hear it.
Well, a lot of people, when they hear about who Angela is and they hear Druid,
Yes,
they automatically they automatically put up a wall.
yes,
But if you listen to this interview and you talk to her, and the same thing when I talk to people about yoga or meditation or namaste,
yes.
they automatically put up a wall.
Yes.
That's woo woo, that's this. No. Listen to them. It's the same thing your ministers have been telling you.
Absolutely.
Listen to 'em.
Absolutely.
There's some truth here, and it's what I refer to as universal truth.
Yes.
You don't own it. I don't own it. It's just
It's
truth.
just truth. It's there. And another thing that I've learned recently and have been reading about is how science is starting to catch up and can say, I can tell you how that works now. Like, we've been doing this for 500,000 years, and now
We didn't know it
science,
worked.
we didn't know how it worked, but it worked, and now science is telling us.
And that's the beauty of it is it's worked. And
Yes.
and science is just not figuring it out. And now they're starting to say, okay, well, let's try this. And I am hearing, well, I told you my mother went to her doctor, and I've been telling her, you need to try yoga.
Yes.
Try yoga. And she's just all whatever. And she goes to her doctor, hoping that her doctor would tell her that I was crazy.
Yes.
She mentions it to her doctor, and he goes, actually, that would be one of the best things you could do.
Absolutely.
And I totally agree. I mean, I've heard about people, and I think you even said this, but I've heard about people either coming off or greatly reducing their need for medications.
Yes.
Not only healing, there's that one video on YouTube about that guy that's in the leg braces. I'll link to it in the show notes as well. But this guy's on leg braces. He's way overweight, has to have a crutch or a wheelchair to get around. A former WWE wrestler had started a yoga DVD series.
Yes.
And this guy had been wanting to train and practice yoga, but nobody would work with him. And this guy decided to work with him. And within a year, he had lost over 100 pounds and was running. He didn't need braces anymore.
Yes.
And the guy looked, it was an amazing transformation. I even did like a little search. Where's he at now? The guy's still
Yes.
doing it.
Well, my aunt has COPD now.
What's that?
It's a heart and lung. I can't remember what the words mean, but it's where you're breathing.
Right.
So she needed oxygen.
Okay.
So she carried oxygen with her everywhere she went. She couldn't walk on the park, couldn't do anything. I finally got her doing yoga after 2 years of trying to get her to do it. 1 day a week, 1 hour a week of doing yoga for 3 weeks. She went and started walking at the park without oxygen.
Wow.
And now she goes shopping every day, does her little routine, whatever it is she does in the stores every day, and does not carry oxygen with her.
Wow. And just, we're not medical professionals.
No,
but,
absolutely
this is
not.
just what we've experienced.
This is an experience. And it's, so your degree of COPD or asthma, I have asthma. I went off my daily inhaler for 3 years because I changed the way I breathed. Wow. Now, not to say I don't have flare-ups or after a bout of bronchitis, I would have to go back on my inhaler for a short period until I built back up. So you do have little issues. It doesn't go away forever.
It's not a cure-all.
It's not a cure-all. But it helps you live daily a lot better. It gives you a better quality of life.
I believe that. I know just simply if you just get up and move.
Yes.
That's what I wish some people do. Just move.
Well, just you watch your animals, the dogs, the cats, when they're laying for a couple of hours or 30 minutes before they get up and run away, they stretch.
Yeah.
There's a reason they do that.
Right.
They don't live in the microwave society.
No.
We
just get up and go.
We just get up and go. But if we stretched our bodies before we move, before we get out of bed, before we get up off the couch, we're going to move a little easier. We're going to move a little faster.
So do you have a certain routine, like a certain time of day? I mean, or you just, hey, I just need to do some yoga?
I do yoga all day long.
Okay.
I do. I will, if I feel my back is starting to tense up and get tight, I'll just stop and start doing some forward folds. Reach for my toes.
Oh, I'll do that at work.
And it will help. I have compressed discs in my lower back. It will relieve that. Just a few of those. So everything that I do, I involve yoga in it. If I'm standing at the sink, I'm standing in a balancing pose and tree.
Are you really?
Yes. And so everything that I do, I incorporate yoga into it because why not? If I'm going to stand here for a few minutes or if I'm standing over a pot cooking, I can stand
In a tree.
in tree, I can stand in mountain, or I can do when I do massage, I do warrior and goddess pose. Doing
Warrior
mas-
massaging?
when so I'm standing in warrior pose giving the massage. So everything that I do yoga in it.
So I had my first massage years ago, right? The then wife got it for me for a birthday present. I left there more stressed than I went in.
Yeah, that can happen.
I did, and it nothing to do with the masseuse. I just felt,
Uneasy.
yeah, I hadn't been that exposed. Man, literally just had a towel on
Oh, okay.
in a room with a woman that wasn't my wife,
Yes.
and I felt, okay, is this appropriate? Is this not appropriate? I'm used to these little motel massage parlors that you see on the side of the road that people talk about. And this wasn't that.
Right.
This was a professional massage studio, and I walked up thinking, oh, gosh.
Well, so
But that was more about me.
yeah, so we drape with a sheet and a blanket, so you're more than a towel. I've had the experience with a towel too, and completely the same.
Well,
Same
they may have draped with
experience.
a sheet, too. I just don't remember. I
Yeah,
just remember I am,
exposed. You felt very
yeah, and
exposed.
I could have been in there with a pair of shorts on and felt the same way.
Yes.
I just,
Yeah.
this woman touching you with these oils, it's very intimate.
It.
It's a
Yes.
very intimate thing.
Yeah.
I left there thinking it was probably me and more about my insecurity than,
Yes.
and I never went back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back. Just I've never found the time to go back. But that was my first experience with massage.
Yeah,
So you went from yoga to massage?
I did. Well, I've always wanted to be a massage therapist since
Okay.
about 19, and I'm over 40.
Okay.
So, finances and being a single mom prevented that. So once my kids was grown, I went to massage school and was able to fulfill that little dream of mine. But I was already a yoga teacher
Okay.
before
So when did you become a yoga teacher and where did you do that at?
I
Florida?
I took my first course actually down in Ottawa. It was like a weekend training and loved it. I now do those types of trainings. And then
'Cause I thought about doing it.
yeah. So now I did my 200-hour training in Nashville. It took me about 7 months. I did one weekend a month. And then I did a 300-hour training.
Because when I was looking at it, there's a 200 and 500.
Yes. So you have to do your 200 first.
Well, that makes sense. Because
That
two's before five.
Yes, that gives you your foundation.
Okay.
So that's where you learn the lifestyle. You learn detail pose breakdown and the anatomy. Then you add on where you start defining what you want to be teaching and you add on to that. So my 300 was actually in shamanic yoga. So I learned
So you get a bachelor's and then your master's.
yes.
That's the way I want to look at that.
Yes.
You get your beginning, got my bachelor's. Now what I want to master in.
Yes.
So you went with shamanic.
Yes.
It's more Native American.
More Native American.
Why that route?
I felt very tied to that, and I always have. I have smudged and done that type of ceremonial things
That's smudging is the burning of the
as
sage.
sage since I was 18, 19 years old. Didn't know why I did it, but I did
It's
it.
just something in you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And that's another, sage is another thing that crosses cultures.
crosses cultures. All cultures do it.
It's the weirdest, it's not the weirdest thing to me. But I always like finding things that cross cultures. And that to me speaks to something deeper,
Yes.
something spiritual,
be-
something, oh, wasn't me that spilt the water.
No. That is the cool because like how did all of the different native people, whether if it was Cherokee or the Aztec and the ones in Europe, how did they know the same thing? There was no internet,
Right.
no telephones.
Something spoke and revealed.
Yes.
Yeah.
They all saged.
Yeah, there's some sort of, I'll use my term, there's some type of divine revelation taking place
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And the other thing that crosses cultures is how they all look to nature for these signs and for this revelation.
Yes.
And not that nature itself is revealing it, but it's being revealed through nature
Right.
to them.
Right.
But yeah, that's like when I contacted you about whether I should get a massage or whatever, what type of massage I
Or
should get.
Reiki. Yes.
Right, and you recommended Reiki, and Ashley did the Reiki, which I'm going to tell you something here in a second, which is really, really weird. I found out the chakras. So
Yes.
explain the chakras real quick.
Okay, so we have 7 main chakras,
Mm-hmm.
which is your energy field. And again, this is scientifically proven now, even though it was known before.
And for some people, it's still going to be woo-woo.
Yes.
But just listen to this, and I'm going to break something down here in a second.
So you have your root chakra, your sacral chakra. Your root chakra is about safety. Your sacral chakra is more about your sexuality, which can mean more things than that. Then you have your solar plexus, which is about around your core of your stomach. That's your fire. That's your powerhouse. Then you have your heart chakra, your throat chakra, and then your third eye, which is your intuition. And everybody has it.
Oh, they do.
If you feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and you got that, don't something feels weird. That's your intuition.
That's that inner you. That's right.
And then you have your crown chakra. That's the top of your head. And each one has a color, and each one has movements, and there's lots of things to them and properties to them.
Okay, so before doing it,
Yes.
when you said, I know you'll do your research. I said, well, I'm not too deep because I want to
Yes.
find out. But I did do some research, and I found out in the Kabbalist, am I saying that right? In Kabbalah, the Jewish mysticism, they have something very similar.
Okay.
They don't call them chakras, but there's 7 energy fields.
Yes.
They're located in the exact same location. And the root chakra, which you term as root chakra, they call the Yesod. It's Yesod, and it's the same meaning, the foundation. And if you take the Kabbalic energy fields, I think they refer to it as tree of life.
Okay.
Their tree of life, which is another thing that crosses cultures.
Yes.
Every culture has this tree symbology. So your root chakra is defined as the same thing as how, well, not yours, but the root chakra is defined as the same thing as the Kabbalah Yesod. It's that foundation. It's that
Okay.
that grounding,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yes.
And I thought that was unique. When you were doing the Reiki, I got my eyes closed. I don't know, because I didn't watch. My eyes are
Right.
closed. I'm in this meditative type sleep, I guess, almost. And then when I come out of it, I was experiencing pain in a certain part of my body at one point, and it was in my pelvic region. And I was like, okay, this is weird. Why am I experiencing pain here? And I'm like, well, okay, just lay here, breathe through it, breathe through it. I come out of it. She brings me a glass of water, and she says, your root chakra is out of balance. And I'm like, why's my pelvic region?
Yeah.
So that was my woo-woo moment.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell you that then because I thought, wait a minute, I need to think on this.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
But I didn't know what you meant by out of balance. That was my thing.
so out of balance can mean a couple of things. We can be slow or sluggish,
Uh-huh.
or you can be excessive
Right.
and not.
But which one was I? I don't know. Do you just know that it's out of balance, or do you?
Yeah. So we can talk more and define, like, you can tell me some of the things that you're experiencing, and then I can say whether if you're excessive or sluggish in that.
I think I was in the way I took it after thinking about it, because more I read about the Kabbalic being my foundation, and then this being root over here. The more I got to thinking about it, I'd just gone through the passing of my father, and just everything was. I just had all these balls in the air, and I'm constantly juggling this. Okay, what's going on with mom over here? I got the cows over here. Oh my god, I got to get to work. I had no anchor to say, okay, this is me. This is what I'm doing. It's because
Yes.
I'm this, now I'm that, now I'm this, now I'm that. That's what I went and focused on, and I'm still
So
very much doing that.
you were in a you were not grounded.
Right.
So our root chakras is where we're grounded, and you were in a not that you wasn't feeling safe, but there was a security issue because there was just so much going on that was pulling you in different directions that kind of there was a security. It was like you
Right.
don't even know where.
Yeah, I didn't know where to begin.
Yes.
I mean, you don't
Yeah.
ever deal with something like that till you deal with something like that.
Yes.
And although there's books, you don't find them till you have to look for
Until
them.
you have to have them. Yes. Yeah. So,
Nobody's teaching you, oh, okay, when so-and-so passes, this is what you do. I mean, I didn't
right.
know any of that stuff.
Right.
Well, I did in one sense because I haven't been a minister. I've watched a lot of people go through this.
Yes.
And if being in the ministry has benefited me in any way in life, it's things like that. Because I think I told you both that I know what's going to happen in my body. I don't have the emotional type of grieving that a lot of people do.
Okay.
I just don't. But I know it's going to wreak havoc on my body.
Yes.
Because one of the first things I did was come to yoga.
Yes.
I'm going to come to yoga. I need to stretch this out. I need to work this out. I know what this is going to do to my body. I mean, even like some internal issues I've been having. And somebody said, you need to go see a doctor. No, I know what this is.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you've been doing a little self healing on your own for so long that you know that. But for the new people
That don't.
that don't, that's something that you start learning through this type of practice because we're so detached from our bodies and our emotions. We don't really want to feel. And you're running so much every day that you don't stop long enough to feel. So until you do that yoga class where you stop and you're sitting in a yoga pose for a minute or two
Yeah, I never know.
or 10.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, how long have I been doing this?
Yeah.
And you don't have a clock up for me to find out. So I thought it's probably on purpose.
Right? Yeah. I'm
And I
back.
can't look at my watch if I was wearing one because my hand's way over here.
Way over there, yeah. It's not even connected to the body anymore. Yeah, I grew up in a Baptist church. We watched that clock. We don't have that near.
We
So
don't have that there. Well, you're right. If you've not had the experience of watching yourself or learning your body or listening to your body and your mind and your emotions, and something tragic like that happens, you don't know what's going on in your head. You don't know what's going on in your
Right.
body. You're not able to say, okay, this is a result of that. And it took me a while to get there. And having watched families go through this, I've seen what they do. And so when this happened to me, one of the first things I did that night was sit down with my brother. I said, look, this is what's going to happen with you. This is where you're at right now. And
Yeah.
this is, you need to pay attention to this because this will affect your marriage. This will affect your health. This will affect you. So you
Absolutely.
need to be watching for these things that's going to take place. This is what's going to happen with mom, blah, 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 blah. He said, what's going to happen with you? I said, I'm going to bury it. I'm going to suppress it. I'm going to get through this week. I'll do the funeral. I'll do the graveside. I'll focus on mom after that. And this will eventually start working its way through me physically.
yes. Yes.
He said, well, you don't need to let that happen. That's what I do. And I said, I know what to look for, and I know what I'm going to do to help mitigate that. And one of those things was I enjoy adult beverages. I won't be enjoying as much of them because I know what happens.
Right.
It's a depressant,
Yes.
and it's going to take me down a bad rabbit hole. So I'll cut back on that. I'll do the yoga. I'll do more mindfulness. I'll do more reading because that
Yes.
is a relaxing thing for me. And that's what helped me get through it. But yeah, I thought that was the weirdest thing when Ashley said, yeah, your root chakra is out of balance. I'm like, my root, that's in my pelvic area, and I started experiencing pain.
Yes. Yeah.
Is
You
that just a coincidence?
Not necessarily, because what she was doing during the Reiki was also providing healing to that area. And so you would have felt something
Well, I felt something.
happening.
Yeah.
And one of my first Reiki experiences, I felt like there was a band or a strap, like I was held down on the table. I couldn't lift my arms. In my mind, I was trying to lift my arms, and I physically couldn't because I felt like there was a band on me
Yeah.
holding me down. And that was some of the things that was being worked through in my Reiki practice, was about my safety. And
Well, I know if you go on YouTube, because I went on YouTube afterwards,
okay.
and I'm looking at this Reiki stuff. And there's a lot of naysayers out there.
Yes.
A lot. And you watch some of this, you think, okay, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you watch some of these Reiki things. But I purposely didn't do that before. Let me just see what my experience is.
Right.
I can't deny I felt something.
Right.
Now, if that Reiki therapy was just something to help me learn what I need to focus on, my root, my foundation, my grounding, or I was actually some healing taking place there, I don't know. I do know I physically felt something,
Right.
and I did learn something. So, am I encouraging people to do it, discouraging people to do it? I'm just telling you my story. That's just my story. And your story is you physically felt
I
something.
physically felt something. And that was before I went into Reiki training. And so.
And she's not talking to me during it. So she's not guiding me. This isn't where you're
No.
leading me to feel something. We're like a guided meditation.
Right. Right. You're just.
It's quiet.
It's quiet. Or music.
She could have been sitting in the corner the whole time. I don't know.
Right.
My eyes were closed. She was.
She could have. Yeah. You don't know what's.
Because I did close my eyes. I don't know if
Yes.
other people do, but I
Yes. Yeah. And so you don't know, and yet you felt something.
did. Right.
Yes.
So there's my woo-woo thing. Now, Reiki's not Native American, though.
Reiki is Japanese.
Okay. So yoga, I'm trying to get the path here. You start doing yoga, you're experiencing your own healing mentally, emotionally, physically. You want to share that with others, so you take the 200-hour class.
I actually took the 200-hour class once we opened Creekside. So I was doing that while owning and running and operating
A yoga studio.
a yoga studio.
Okay.
One of the things about yoga is not regulated by the government yet.
Yeah.
And so anyone can at any time decide they want to be a yoga teacher, which is very dangerous. I do totally encourage some sort of training.
I would too.
So you can hurt someone. So if you are taking yoga, know who you're taking it from, and know that either they've done some sort of training or have physically been doing it themselves for quite some time.
Which I didn't do either of that.
So yeah,
It's a yoga studio in Athens. Okay, I'll go.
yeah, absolutely. So I did that. I did my Reiki training during massage school as
Okay.
well. But I did my first
So you're licensed masseuse
massage therapist
before or after you opened
before.
Creekside?
Before. Yeah. As soon as I graduated massage school and got my license or applied for my license, I began building the business. And then we were open.
So massage is regulated by the government.
Massage is regulated.
Yoga is not.
Yoga is not.
Are there any fitness disciplines that are regulated? I don't think there are. I don't think jiu-jitsu is regulated. I don't
No.
believe. So that would fall under a fitness.
Yes.
Why would massage be different though?
Massage is actually we're licensed health practitioners as
Okay.
massage therapists. Because you can.
Well,
It is
it's an
healing.
insurance.
It is. I can take insurance if I wanted to.
Right. I
I
mean,
do not.
doctors will recommend
Yes.
massage.
Yeah. So there 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 is something, it is a difference in that. Um, yeah.
That would be the difference. Although I can see, I mean, we've talked very much a lot about the healing aspects of yoga.
Right.
I can see the difference there. So, okay, so you open up the massage and you license Reiki at that time,
Yes.
and then you are just hiring yoga.
So I was a certified yoga teacher, and there's a
But you did that after.
no. So there's a difference.
Oh, okay.
So I was a certified. I had done a like a 25-hour certification
Oh, so you were
before,
certified.
and now I'm a registered yoga teacher. So now it's sort of like that registered nurse versus a certified nurse.
Okay.
So now I'm a registered yoga teacher. I'm a registered 500 hour, but my first one was the 200. And so what that is I'm on a registration saying that yes, they verified that I've completed this amount of hours of training.
So they being whoever
They
you took your class with, there's not one governing body.
So there is a foundation who is called Yoga Alliance,
Okay.
who is trying to govern yoga so that they are saying, yes, there are true people who have taken the training, and these are the people that you really should be taking your training from because
They've completed our requirements.
they've completed the requirements, which is where you learn your anatomy and your pose breakdowns so that you don't get people hurt
Right.
in a class.
So you did you were certified, then you became registered at 200 hours,
Yes.
then you went and found the 500
Yes.
Native American. What are some others, if I wanted to do it, what are some of the other 500 hour type of things I could focus on? Should I go to India and live in a monastery
You
and learn?
can. You can.
I would actually enjoy that.
And so that's interesting that my 200 hour is through a lady who was taught in India. So
And she's local?
in Nashville.
Oh, in Nashville.
Yes. So my lineage there is very short when you look at that because I wanted my training as close to authentic as possible and not your microwave society where you're pumping them out every 2 or 3 months.
Right. So you wanted like an actual yogi.
Yes.
Would you be called a yogi?
You're a yogi.
I'm a yogi.
Anyone who does yoga is a yogi.
Well, they'll laugh at me sometimes at work because I'll do that forward fold.
Yes.
Or I'll do something like that, but I'm just like, dude, I just gotta stretch out. But yeah, I enjoy it. So, was there a title between 200, 500, and is there one past that or?
No, it's just the registered yoga teacher or RYT is what you will see, and then you'll see the numbers behind it, and that's the 200, 500, 1,000.
Oh, you can get
It
more
goes
hours.
up, and then the only other thing is you may see an E before the RYT, and that means experienced, and that means you were an RYT for 2 years.
Okay, so continuing education. Does
Continue-
Yoga Alliance? Do
Yes,
they
you're required
require-
so many continuing education every 2 years. And the more hours you get, when you're at 200, it's maybe like 20 hours. When you hit 500, it's so many more. So the further you go, the more continuing education you have to have as well.
Got it. So because I did think about the class.
Yes.
And my life, I just keep making my life more enjoyable. Starting the podcast,
Yes.
doing these videos I just did for the Chamber of Commerce and stuff like that. So I knew I wasn't going to have the time to devote to the class.
Yes.
But the other thing I kept thinking is it worth me is it financially, am I going to make my money back if I start teaching yoga?
No.
There's
You
that.
cannot make a living solely as a yoga teacher.
Well, and then I thought, and then even as a man, can I make?
You can. You can do it. You can. Absolutely. And I won't say.
Well, I think if I'm in LA, but I mean in East Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
But I won't make my money back for my class.
It will take you a while. It will take you a while. And it depends on how much time you devote to it as trying to teach.
Right.
It takes a while to do it. But what you get out of that is for your personal development. That is where I found the most healing was in my training.
So you're investing in yourself.
You're investing in yourself. And so not everyone who comes out of a training will ever teach a class. They may get in there and say, you know what, I've got a lot more growing to do before I want to teach.
Right.
And so you change in that training.
Well, I love teaching, and that was my thing. I really, really like teaching. But I was thinking about that. Well, if I'm going to invest in myself, should I invest in that? Then, so, you start Googling guy yoga instructors, and you see a lot of things. But on Instagram, you'll see there's a lot of yogis that have people following them, and they get these crazy, insane poses.
Yeah, that's what you start learning in these training. You learn
Like
how.
on your hands and your legs up around.
Yeah.
Really?
In the air. Yeah.
Can you guys do that?
Some of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Ashley? Ashley won't talk out loud. She's
So
gonna be in the
I'm
background.
going to need you to talk to Ashley for
Yeah.
a minute.
Come over here, Ashley. Talk to me about my Reiki. Ashley's coming. Ashley, I've actually taken more yoga classes with Ashley. Only taken one with you. Yeah, Christy. One or two. Then Ashley did yoga. Ashley, are you okay? Yeah. You are?
Yeah, I'm good.
You're good? Oh, can you hear yourself now?
Yeah.
You done podcasts before?
No.
Just lift it up a bit. Let me.
Okay.
No, it's breaking down over here.
We'll blame it on Christy.
It's not you.
It's Christy.
It's Christy.
She got up.
What got you into yoga?
Christy did.
How'd Christy
actually.
get you in?
Just meeting Christy and then
Just doing yoga yourself
yeah.
with her?
Yeah, just doing yoga with her, and then that got me into, you scratch the surface and then you just start digging.
And you just go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
You
a
just-
good rabbit hole though.
Really? How long you been doing it?
3 years
So why was it so good for you?
now. All the same. It's inner work, self-healing. Yeah, basically that's just it.
Any dramatic change that you can say, okay, look, if it had not been for this, then that you want to talk about? It's just me and you.
Well, I mean,
Nobody's
it's
going to be
just
watching this.
funny, because like you notice things. I don't know, maybe within 2 months of doing yoga, I was walking through a parking lot one day,
Uh-huh.
and I thought, I'm like walking, like I'm not looking at the ground. I was holding my head up, walking straight, shoulders were back, and I had to call Christy and tell her. She was like, I told you, see, and it is. It's just like, not, I mean, you don't think about it when you walk around and your head's down all the time.
No, and I took a class in Portland a few years ago, the Golgi method or something like that. It was about posture. And it was talking about the importance of posture, the importance of how you stand, and it affects how you feel. And this lady had been on the continent of Africa, and she's working with some indigenous people there, and they carry those things in their head. And she got to noticing that they weren't having a lot of the health issues that even her husband, who was there with her, was. But the difference between them was how they stood. Her husband stood, his shoulders all slumped over, his back arched. And so she started working with him. Hey, why don't you stand like these guys? And started working on his poses and how he sits, and even the stuff that they sat on. And within a couple of months, just that made a huge difference in his health, in his mental outlook, how he felt about himself. So yeah, yoga for that, you're focusing on these poses. You're getting that self-confidence, if I'm hearing what you're saying.
Right, yeah. It's complete, mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah. And then one day you're walking around and you're just aware that, oh, wait a minute. This is what
Yeah.
this is about.
It's really cool if people will just give it a try.
Yeah. Just give it a try.
Yeah.
Are you done? She's going to pass it off. She's like, I'm done. Thanks, Ashley. The well, I know it's been it's I don't get to do it as much as I want. And for those of you guys that don't have access to a studio, how do they start?
Well, I don't have access to this, but YouTube is a great tool
Right.
for that. And look for someone with a larger following
Right.
with that because they've been doing it for a while. And, that's, they're going to know what they're doing. Look for someone, the initials, the RYT. Look for someone who has training. There are videos, DVDs. That's kind of what I used to do. Internet's not the greatest. Where
we're at.
right.
Right. That's kind of like where
So-
I'm at. I've got Hughes.
Yes, exactly. Same thing. So you can't really stream.
It's difficult at times.
Yes. So definitely DVDs if you're in that type of situation. If you are not able to do the YouTube, and I don't have any that I can recommend because I've not
so many.
done that, and so I've not had to do that in so long that I don't even know who has DVDs or those types of things out anymore.
Well, I know there's one on YouTube that my daughter follows, and it's a woman. And the thing about YouTube is, though, you can find a yoga for where you're at.
Yes.
So if you just go into YouTube and you type in yoga for senior citizens, yoga for men,
yes.
And maybe there's a certain type of yoga you want, like the fit yoga.
Yes.
It's all out there. You can find it. Just Google it and watch it. And you guys could do it. Just set up a camera,
Absolutely.
a yoga mat, and hey, we're going to do a yoga pose and take them through it. That's basically what they do. It's like you're in the class, but it's on TV. The problem I had for a while was the bed in my room was a king-size bed, which I hate king-size beds. And I had no room
Yes.
in there. I've since taken that out, and I got plenty of room. I don't even have a bed in my room anymore. I moved to sleeping on the floor.
Okay.
You ever heard about that?
I have.
It works.
Okay.
I was having a hip issue,
Yes.
and I tried stretching and doing stuff like that. I wasn't getting out as much doing the yoga as I wanted, and I moved to sleeping on the floor. And within a couple of weeks, now if I sit a certain way for too long, I'll feel it. Mm-hmm. But
Yeah, sometimes the way our beds can either be too much cushion and things like that and can actually cause us more harm than good.
well, and when you wake up in the morning and it's nice, comfy bed, you don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah, no.
You just don't want. You just want to snuggle up. You wake up on the floor, you want to get up.
Right.
It's like
Right.
you wake up, you're like, okay, I gotta get up.
Yeah.
You
Let's get this day started.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it too.
Yeah.
Because if I just lay there, I'll waste an hour or two. Turn on YouTube or I'll turn on my Pandora, and I'll just lay there and be all comfy, and I'll go back to sleep 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
Not on the floor.
Yeah. So that sounds
You should try it.
I don't know. I got this like mattress warmer thing on the bed, and so I just turn that on, and I may not leave it.
Oh, I have a heating pad that because when I sleep, so I got a yoga mat down, and then a quilt, and I lay on top of that, and then I got body pillows that I use under my knees.
Yes.
So the knee pillows,
Yes.
and I'll put my heating pad between the back of my knees and that pillow, and just lay back, and I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. It depends on what's going on too. I might take some. If I'm feeling jacked, because I get off work at 11:30 at night,
Right.
and so I might just be feeling all amped up. So I'll take some of that CBD oil
Yes.
and the melatonin, and then I'll lay down and I'm out.
Out.
But I don't do that all the time, and I don't recommend people doing it all the time because your body gets too used
Yes.
to things.
Yes. and then it requires it
Requires more.
more
Right.
to help. And so, you know, the doctors, I would rather someone take melatonin versus a sleep aid
Oh, absolutely.
from a prescription, or even the ones over the counter that other than melatonin.
Yeah.
Melatonin is natural. Our body makes it, so it's okay. And I've had a doctor who said, I would rather you take as much of that as you want.
Yeah.
You know, if you're having some issues for a short period and you need to do it every night for a week, do it every night for a week. But, you know, rather than the prescription.
Usually I'll take it if I've got, because like I said, I'll get off work at 11:30, and if I have like something I need to do at 9 a.m. or at 10 a.m.,
Yes.
I'll usually take it then, because if I don't, I'm going to stay up till 3.
Right.
And then trying to get up after I've been up, it just doesn't work well for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing, back to the rest. You got to learn to sleep.
Yes.
You got to learn to turn the mind off and, turn the screens off.
Turn the screens off. Don't sleep with your phone beside you.
Well, how's Pandora going to wake me up in the morning?
Right.
What if there's a weather alert?
Yeah, you gotta put it a little distance. You know, don't let it be
Oh,
just
don't let it like laying right next to you.
right, because
I have to
that's,
work for it.
Yeah, work for that a little bit. Is it worth it when it dings if it's across the room to go and check it?
No.
No, you know, just so leave it over there. It causes us stress, and I read or saw a documentary where a man was one of the app designer people or phone designer people, and he said, we created this in a way that you become addicted.
And we are.
And so your body gets a high from that notification.
Yeah,
And
it does.
if you've not looked at your phone in 5 minutes or 2 hours, your body starts to go into withdrawals, just like a drug addict, needing that fix, needing to see, has someone texted me? Or how many likes did I get on that?
Oh, and I'm bad about that one.
This or that. So that's an addict. It's an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Well, even like when we sat down here, I left my jacket over there. My phone's in it. And I've heard a couple of times no, stay here.
yeah.
Stay here.
Well, that's one of the things that I've also learned and done in my
Nash is like, when I go check my phone.
along this path. I've learned that I really don't like cell phones. I don't like responding. I don't like text messages. I don't like to have to be committed to that.
So should I start writing letters if I have a message to send you?
I like the old days when there was if you didn't answer your phone, no one was upset.
Right.
You just wasn't available.
They weren't home.
And now everyone expects you to be available for them 24/7 because I sent you a text, you need to respond.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, and if you're like in Messenger or some of these apps, it shows you if they've read it.
Yes.
So what I'll do sometimes is, because I can't respond right away all the time.
Right.
Sometimes it'll give me a preview of the message.
Yes.
But I think if I open this,
They know.
they know I've read it. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to open it. So I'll wait like a couple hours.
So
Is that horrible?
No. I have the iPhone, so I have that option to have that read.
Uh-huh.
So if you have an iPhone, you send me a text, you know I've seen it.
Yeah.
I don't need to send okay. If you sent me a text that was completely informational, I do not need to respond to that. You saw that I read it. It's
You
done.
picking up some sass in
It's
her
done.
voice? He's picking up some sass.
And I love that.
She's like, kiss my southern sass.
Right. I love it. Yeah.
There's a T-shirt up at the sock shop that says that. You should go get that. They have a 20% off sale coming up. So, you're absolutely right. When I was paying for their cell phones, the rule was that cell phone is for my convenience, not yours.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you start paying for your cell phone, you can respond to me when you want.
Yes.
I will have you know, the day they started paying for their cell phones, They don't respond to me in a timely manner.
Yes.
My, case in point, I told this story in here before. You may have heard it. My son and ex-wife and her new husband were in a car wreck. They're on I-5, just outside of Portland, Oregon, and Vancouver, Washington. They were okay, but they needed a ride. And so my son texts my daughter. The next day, she texts back, "Do you guys still need help?"
Yeah.
He said, "That was 24 hours ago."
So that the laughing joke in my friends and family is if you're in an emergency, you don't text Christy.
Yeah, I don't text my son or my daughter. I text my son-in-law and my daughter's girlfriend.
And my response is don't text me for it either. Call me. If you're in a true emergency, pick up the phone and call me.
Right, right.
You know, I will probably respond a lot quicker and nicer.
So in the emergencies I have, but in the emergencies I also call my son-in-law and my son's girlfriend. But you're right. An emergency, call me. But if I need some information that is time sensitive, or I need to just, we'll just go with something that's time sensitive. I don't text my daughter and my son.
Right.
Even if I need to talk to my daughter or my son about something that's time sensitive, I'll usually text my son-in-law and say, "Hey, can you have Kaylee get back to me?"
Yes. My daughter will text Ashley and say, "Is my mom with you?"
Right.
Because I need a response.
Right. And I'm just like,
If you have an emergency, you can always text me.
Yeah.
Message Christy.
I'll get it to her. But that's how it is. And then, well, my mom does that now too, because I'll be taking her someplace and she's like, "Well, I'm not taking my phone." "Why?" "Well, they can just call you." "Your contacts don't have my phone number." So I end up carrying two phones
Uh-huh.
just in case she needs something or somebody needs something and they can get in touch with her. I have a love-hate relationship with it, the technology. I think it very much induces the stress that you're talking about. I think it very much distracts us, especially in conversations. I hate going to a restaurant when there's a family there and all their faces are in their phone.
Yes.
I hate that.
Yes.
The rule with my kids when we sat down at dinner, there was no phones.
Yeah.
No phones at the dinner table. And even when their friends came over, their friend would be there and they'd be like, "Hey, don't take the phone. You don't want my dad to freak out."
Right.
And I wouldn't freak out. I'm just, you're not having the phone here.
Yes.
And that's what I like about, just we've lost the art of conversation.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was going to tell you. We think our conversations is text message. Text messages to me remind me of Post-it notes.
Yes.
And we shouldn't be doing, and I hate it when I get somebody, you ever get that big, long dissertation in a text message?
Yes.
I don't read it.
Yeah, a 3, 4, 5 scroll to try to get to the end of that.
Right.
No.
I don't read it.
I've sent back responses. I've not read this. If there's something in this I really need to know, you might want to call me.
Did you get the sass again?
I got the sass again. Just picked up on that sass again. What can we call this podcast? Yeah. No, I do too. Maybe I'm not as eloquent as you when I reply to them, or I just ignore them. But
Yeah.
I have to work on that. Well, how can people find you?
Okay, so go to our website, creeksidemassageandyoga.com or Facebook. Instagram, I'm not as good with, but we are there. I probably haven't been on it in months at
I
this
don't know.
point. But yeah, Facebook and our website is the way to get us or call
And the number?
423-920-5507.
You know what I forgot to talk to you about?
What's that?
You had a grandbaby.
I did. So we had actually scheduled this previously, and my grandson was born last Monday, about 9 minutes till midnight. I was there. I got to be in the birthing room even.
Oh, you were in the room?
I was in the room, which was amazing because I'm about to take a doula training where I am a birthing doula. So
What's a birthing doula?
it's where you assist
Remember,
mothers.
I'm a guy.
It's where you assist the moms to be, the moms and the dads to be, and you're just their emotional support, whatever they need, and that could be health wise. So we will tie our yoga and massage into that as well.
Okay.
So your emotional support.
Okay. So this is your daughter.
My daughter. Yes.
So was he in the room?
He was in the room also.
Was his mother in the room?
No, and the funny thing, she's a doula as well. She's in Knoxville. She did not come for the birth.
Was there a reason, or she
Just chose not to. She was
Yeah.
invited, just chose not to.
So when my children were born, people were just starting to bring their moms and all that
Yes.
into the labor and delivery room. And my dad's generation had it right. The guy stayed out in the waiting room.
Yeah.
You know, I was there for both of my children. I thoroughly support a guy's decision to not want to be in there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a very intimidating environment for a man,
Yes.
and it's a very it can be a very shocking environment, especially my last child's birth. We almost lost them both in labor and delivery, but people were just starting to let them have their parents in there. And of course, she's a new mom, and her mom had flown in from Washington, and my mom was a nurse, and that discussion came up, and I said, okay, and it might not have been as loving as I thought I was saying it, but I basically said, you've got a choice.
Yeah.
You can have your mom and my mom in there, and not me, or you can have me and nobody else but medical professionals that are getting paid.
Yeah.
And we had that discussion, and I just did not. One, I've never been in there before, so now I don't know what to expect, and I don't want to deal with my mom and her mom in there. So hopefully
Right.
you guys weren't.
Oh no, he actually.
Hopefully you weren't a nightmare to be with.
No. So my son-in-law said, I don't know if I could have done this without your mom this time. The nurse was not very helpful. So he said, I don't think I could have done it without her. I'm so glad she came.
Was it their
So
first?
That was their second. Their first one, it was just the two of them in the room.
So why did he think this one was more difficult than the?
The first time she had an epidural,
Oh.
and this time she went natural.
See, and I'd always been told that once you've had an epidural, you can never go.
Yeah, I think that's just your way of thinking.
I'm not
Yeah.
thinking about it. I'm just telling you what.
Yeah,
I thought I
no,
heard
not
people
yours,
say. Yeah.
others. I think that's their way.
Yeah.
I will say, a few minutes in, she went, I made a mistake. I want an epidural.
The ex-wife did that.
Yeah,
And
so,
they're like, honey, it's too late.
yeah. But truly, she thought she was working for hours, and she worked for about 15 minutes. She
Yeah.
did not need an epidural.
Right.
And
Did you have yours naturally?
I did.
And by natural, we're defining that as no pain meds.
No pain meds.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had both of ours naturally. Well, yeah, no, we had both of ours naturally. The second one, like I said, I about lost them both. Her placenta ripped. And they were trying to decide whether or not to do a C-section or not, or let the birth continue. And thankfully, they let it continue.
Yes.
And they both made it through healthy. So, and I remember when the doctor's like, hey, cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah.
I'm like, do I get a discount? He's like, no. So then you do it.
Well, Dad did do the cutting. I got a picture for him, but Dad did the cutting. And then I left the room and I let them have
Good for you.
the probably about an hour.
Let them have that moment.
Yes. And so then when they were ready, they allowed us back in.
So, grandson, the other one is a.
Grandson as well. So I've got two grandboys.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Yes. Very exciting.
And so, first one to hold the baby?
Mom?
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
That's cool. I look back on those memories, and it was a good time. And the first one that she had, she punched me.
Well,
And it wasn't nothing I did. She was just frustrated, reached over and
yes,
punched me.
Absolutely. the dad was about to get bit,
Right?
and so we found her something to bite on.
Right.
She was happy. Yeah.
I don't think people understand, and I certainly don't. I joke with people, hey, I've had 2 kids, but I certainly haven't experienced that pain. Is it true? And of course, it's been a while since you've had a baby, I'm assuming.
Yes.
But is it true that once it's over, it's over?
It's over.
Pain's
over.
gone?
Pain's gone.
That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think your body just went through a huge shock and that.
I know, but no. The moment it's done, it's done. If you may have a little bit of a healing thing to happen, but that
Intensity.
that intense is all over.
I guess the best thing I can explain it to is when I passed a kidney stone.
Exactly.
I mean, my entire body just went.
Where a kidney stone, once it's in the true passing state, it may take moments,
Right.
and a birth can take moments to hours.
Mine took days.
Okay.
I mean, when I first had mine, it literally put me down.
Yeah.
And they told me what it was. They didn't have pain meds at the doctor's office. She had to go get pain meds while I had to go get some sort of scan.
Yeah.
So she went to get the prescription filled. I'm getting the scan. And about 2 days later, when it finally passed, my entire body just went, ooh.
Right.
That's the only
it's
word I
over.
could use to explain it.
It's
Just,
over.
ooh. Yeah, it was over.
Yeah.
And I spent that weekend drinking a lot,
Yes.
trying to get it to pass
flush,
and to flush. And by drinking a lot, I don't mean water.
Right.
I was drinking alcohol.
Right.
And I was wanting to numb the pain, and I was taking my pain meds. And at one point, she actually said, "Should you be taking these meds and drinking alcohol as frequently as you are right now?" And I said, "We'll worry about my addiction issues
Later.
Yeah. That's right. So that stone passed, and she goes, "Well, now what?" I said, "Now I sober up." 'Cause
There you go.
I had to go to work on Monday, and so I spent Sunday, okay, let's drink some water now.
Yes.
Let's put some food in my body. But that's the closest, and that's what I've always heard people explain it and describe it
Yes,
as a
yes.
man passing a kidney stone is what it's like for a woman to have.
Yes.
Now, who knows for sure? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time and doing this. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Getting to know you a little bit better and
Thank you.
finding out your story, and it's been good.
Yeah. Thank
Any
you.
questions for me?
I don't think so. When you coming back for class?
My biggest problem is my schedule.
Yeah.
It's my biggest problem because I saw you have some listed at 9 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we were actually just talking about starting that noon one up again for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Well, I could just do a private one if I'm going to do that. You don't have to start it up just for me.
Well, we might have others that would be interested as well.
Okay.
But that time frame is
Yeah.
perfect for your second shift style.
It is. So yeah, that would be perfect. I've been thinking about setting me up more of a studio type situation at the house. The funny thing about yoga mats? You can spend $8 or $80.
Oh, yes.
What's the difference?
Lifetime. So I have a yoga mat that it's probably retails about $130.
So is it one of those natural, eco-friendly ones?
No, this one is not.
Because those are the ones I've seen that's really expensive.
They can get, yes. But that has a lifetime warranty. So your $8 yoga mats, you're going to replace if you're using it weekly or daily, you're going to replace it every few months.
Should a yoga mat be thin or thick?
Thin.
Why is that?
The thickness can actually cause carpal tunnel issues. So if you're needing it thicker for, let's say, your knees, you can fold it up or use knee pads.
Okay. So the purpose of a yoga mat and doing yoga?
You're going to die. To define your space. That's it.
That's it.
Slippery depending on your floor surface, but it's to define your space. And most newbies are hard to understand that. They want their yoga mat and 3 feet around them. When truly, in a advanced yoga class, yoga mats will be inches apart.
Well, and I've wondered about that because there's that one where you lay on the ground and you stick your leg way over here. And won't I be in your space?
You would be. You would be. But what's wrong with that?
I don't know you.
So it's getting back to we're getting back to your
Comfort zone.
comfort zone, and we
What if
are
they smell?
well. We probably all smell after about an hour, right? But you
Yeah.
get back to you played sports.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You tackled somebody or
Well, I wrestled.
wrestled. Perfect.
I wrestled, but I knew you, and you're a guy. um, it's not a stranger in a yoga studio that's got their foot over on me.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So I get
what,
the wanting my space thing, but I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine being that
and so
close.
what would happen is, this person's folding that way as well. So you're all
If
going
we're all
in the
going
same
the same direction.
It works out real well.
So that's probably why if I fold this way, you have me look that way.
Yes.
That way I'm not paying attention to where.
Because that one's looking at you too, and if it's Ashley looking at you, you are all laughing. The eyebrows talk.
Her eyebrows talk. So the yoga mats just seemed, and that's when I was first getting one. I didn't know you had yoga mats down there that I could just use. So I thought,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna go buy me a yoga mat, which I lost. How do you lose a yoga mat? I do.
Yeah.
I know where I lost it, but I went and bought one. But before I bought one, I thought I need to study up on these. I'm like, I'm not spending $100-something for a yoga mat to take a class I may never do
Never
again.
do again.
And so I finally found one at $8 to $10. But what I was reading is that you don't want them really thick because of the whole balance thing.
Yes.
You want to have some sort of foundation.
Yes. So your yoga mat is truly defining just your space that you're working in,
Okay, so it's not,
and not a major tool.
because you had said one time that you could do it anywhere. You don't need a mat.
Nope.
You just need your body and
Yes.
just do it anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the
The other thing with your yoga mat, if you're doing it at home, you lay one out. Leave it laying open and in the floor, and you will work on it. But if it's rolled up in the corner, you don't see it, you will not use it.
right. That makes sense. That makes sense. It's kind of like going to the gym. The hardest part's walking through the
Walking
door,
through the door.
right? Or if you're a runner, putting
Yeah.
your shoes on.
Yeah.
So if it's out, I'm going to use it. If it's not, just rolled up. It's out of sight, out of mind.
Out of mind. Hmm.
I want to forget about it. No, I left mine. I started carrying mine in my vehicle, and I was at Sounds of Summer. I don't take out a camp chair, so I would just take my yoga mat and fold it in half, and I'd sit on that.
Absolutely.
Because I found sitting like we are is better for my posture a lot
Yes.
of times, and so I would just sit on the ground like that, and just same way you are.
And it's Indian style.
Well, crisscross applesauce now. We can't say Indian style. People get upset.
Yes.
But you're right. It's sitting like that, and my posture's better, and I enjoyed it much more. Well, I got done doing that, and then I interviewed a guy and got distracted and left. And
Oh.
I don't know where my yoga mat went, but it was $8. I
Yes.
didn't care, so I went and bought another one. But my daughter's got like 10.
Yeah. I have 3. I have one that I will not travel with because it's heavy.
Okay, why is it so heavy?
It's the Lifetime.
Oh, it's the Lifetime one.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is better built. So it's also for, if it's not so foamy when you get sweaty.
Yeah.
So it's not absorbing your sweat. You wipe it off at the end. So there's a little difference. And then I've got those little cheap, lightweight ones that I'll take with me when I go hiking or doing something. And so I can sit on it or do yoga or, leave it behind if I forget it and not worry about losing the money on the other one.
Right. And that's the thing I like about that one. I thought that's not that big a deal. It's $8, and hopefully somebody finds it and
They'll
uses
use
it.
it.
And that karma, I
Yes.
guess, will travel with them, and they'll be good.
Yes.
My friend, namaste.
Namaste.